يستوي الذين يعلمون والذين لا يعلمون إنما يتذكر أولو الألباب.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to a new episode of your program, The Life of the Scholars. And this episode will focus on a new person today. His name is Sulaiman ibn Mahran, known as Al-Amish. But in the beginning, let me welcome my guest. Welcome to your program as well.
Yeah,
Alhamdulillah.
thank
And
you.
you guys been doing great, mashallah.
Thank
Please
you.
keep up all these good, beautiful lessons that you come up with every time. This man is completely different character. They used to call him Al-Mus'haf. And not because he had a very good memory of the Quran. He's really has an excellent memorization of the Quran. But not because he had a good memory. He has a photographic memory, mashallah. But there's something very different about him, that he's so accurate that he doesn't make a mistake. So that's why they call him al-Mus'haf. Because you can't find the mistakes in the Mus'haf,
No.
and you can't find mistake in this man's memorization. When he narrates thousands and thousands and thousands of narrations, tens of thousands of narrations probably, and you will not find a mistake in his narrations. And that's very rare to find someone. Memorize something is easy, but to keep it fresh in your memory and to repeat it every time years later on in the same way, in this exact same way, that's a blessing. And not everybody have this capability. He's very accurate, like the accuracy of the Mus'haf. That's why they call him Mus'haf. Sulaiman ibn Mahran al-Asdi, he's not originally Arab. He comes again from a slave, but he grew up and as a free man. He started learning, but he came from a very, very poor family. He was born in Iraq, in southern of Iraq, in 680 CE, which is about 661 Hijri. He lived about 88 years, so he lived a quite long time. But as I said, he came from a very, very poor family. That's why he had nothing, almost. He couldn't even have food sometimes to eat, or to buy clothes, or to clean his clothes, to buy soap just to wash his clothes. He can't offer that. He can't even sometimes have money to go to a barber to shave his head, or to, make him look. That's why his look was so messy, and people didn't like the way he looked. Even people talk about sometimes he used to smell very good because he doesn't have what it takes to go to the public place called hammam or places like this to clean himself, to clean his clothes regularly. He himself said, if it's not the knowledge that they have, people will be disgusted by me and will never come closer to me. It is just because of the knowledge that I have, Allah brought all those people around me. So he grew up in a very poor household. We don't know much about his family. He didn't descend from his mother, his father is a great scholar or no. We don't know much about them at all, actually. Or don't know anything special about them. Just know who he is, and he descended from that family, but that's about it. He memorized the Quran in an early age with excellency. So he started with the Quran, and he mastered the Quran. To the extent, Hushaym said, was a great scholar, he said, I don't know anyone of our time memorize Al-Quran with excellency like this man, Sulaiman ibn Mahran. Where he grew up? He grew up in Al-Kufa. Al-Kufa is a place where about 400 companions moved to Al-Kufa, settled in Al-Kufa. 400 companions. Can you imagine in a small city? And it's a countryside. It's not like Al-Basra where, you know, it's industrial kind of city, big city. Al-Kufa mainly, it's like a countryside. So people are simple there. People more emotional and have much time to learn and to seek knowledge. Who is the one who settled in Kufa? Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anh. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud is a school in himself. And he's the founder of the school of Iraq, which is later on produced Abu Hanifa and the Hanafi madhab. Okay? So Ibn Mas'ud has students, and senior students and junior students. Imam Sulaiman al-Mahram learned from the student of Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anh, and he gained a lot of knowledge from them. And Ibn Mas'ud filled with knowledge. That's why Sulaiman ibn Mahran filled with narrations, knows so much hadith, because Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, one of the people who narrated so many hadith from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He lived in the era where it's very common to collect the hadith and to document the hadith. And a lot of people start even documenting the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in that time, because not necessarily for the right reason. You heard me said before, I'm going to put a reward for the people who collect the hadith. And imagine at that time, if you narrate one hadith, you enter history. Your name will be documented forever as a narrator. You just will be remembered forever. So our man noticed that. That's why he didn't used to teach everybody. He will only give the hadith to the people that he thinks they're sincere. They respect the knowledge. They deserve to be taking the knowledge. He's so picky in choosing his students. He wouldn't teach anyone. Many people will come to him and he will reject them. And sometimes he will be very mean about it. Also in his time, there is a movement came up. He lived around the area where also Abu Hanifa rahimahullah exists. And there is a group of scholars at that time who were not excited about collecting narrations as much as they excited about analyzing the narrations, you know, and using intellect to analyze it and give opinions, and known as the school of al-Ra'i. While he himself dedicated to be just a collector, more of a faqih, a person who analyzed the text. And these two personalities sometimes clash, but that's something shaped his life. And I'm trying to give you an idea how he was thinking, rahimahullah ta'ala. It is no doubt that he is among 6 people who preserved the sunnah of Rasulullah for us. They said there are 6 people, all the asanid of the hadith go through them. He's one of them. And he's definitely one of the most knowledgeable scholars in hadith. Al-A'mash, blurry eye. Okay, he's blurry eyed, so he has a problem in his eyes. He can't see good, especially in the night. And rahimahullah ta'ala, as I said, known as al-Mus'hab because of his accuracy, of his good, very good memory. Anyway, let's see what made this man special. Beside memorize the hadith in a very excellent way. He combined between 2 knowledge, the knowledge of the Quran and the knowledge of the Sunnah. And he also mastered the fiqh of inheritance. He's excellent in this. He's good in math, it looks like. Okay. He also mastered the fiqh of Ibn Mas'ud. And a lot of students came to learn from, he knows what's Ibn Mas'ud's opinions. He documented that. He narrates so many ahadith in relation to this. He had so much respect for the knowledge. He honored the knowledge so much. He could easily make millions, or as we say today, of dollars. You know, he can easily make thousands and 100,000s of pieces of gold if he wants, if he starts selling the hadith. And I mean by that, writing narrations or making people to narrate the hadith through him for financial reward. But he never did that. He has so much dignity. Even one of the princes once sent him a letter, and he said to him, write to me something that you know from the Prophet, and I will give you money. And he gave him a little bit of money. He said, give you more if you write to me. So he said, he wrote back to him, I heard so-and-so told me that the Prophet said, recited this verse. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ وَلَمْ يَكُن لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. So he returned back to him and he said, do you think I don't know قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ? Then he said, and you think I'd sell the hadith Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? I don't sell it. Get out of here. Another person tried to convince him and threaten him, even a prince once or a governor, and he took the letter and he handed it to the goat and he let the goat eat the letter. He said, I don't sell hadith Rasulullah. He has so much dignity when it comes to the hadith of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. One thing about this man, his character a little bit different. He's a little bit of completely different. And maybe we'll talk about this when we come back from the break. So let's have a quick break. Stay tuned to hear very interesting stories about Al-A'mash rahimahullah ta'ala. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. Stay tuned. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to your program, The Life of the Scholars. We're talking about Al-Imam Al-A'mash, Sulaiman ibn Mahran, rahimahullah ta'ala, great scholars of hadith, a scholar who combined between the knowledge of hadith and the knowledge of Al-Quran. He inherited the school of Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anh when it comes from the hadith side and the narration side. We talk about his personalities are quite different. For instance, he was not a very good social person. He doesn't like visitors. He doesn't like to socialize with people. Once he was sick and people came to visit him. And when they came, they spent a little bit of time, extra time. Then he got bored. He wanted them to leave. So he took the pillow and he said, okay, may Allah cure the one who you guys came to visit. And he left the house. And he is sick. You know, a guy came to him and he didn't like the person. But he's sick, so he came to visit him. And he told him, I hope I'm not bothering you by being here. He said, you want the truth? He said, yes. He said, I'm bothered by you when you're in your home. So what do you think of you now? So, you know, he sometimes can be mean, you know. He's a very sarcastic person. Once he was wearing you know, the skin of the sheep. He was putting it in his shoulder. That's the only thing he had. He doesn't have even a garment to put in his shoulder. It's very poor. So he had the skin of the sheep against his skin. So a man saw him in the street and he told him, hey, that's not how you wear it. It's cold. You should put the fur against your skin and the skin outside. Then he said, why don't you give this advice to the sheep? You know? So he can be sarcastic, you know, and he hates people who have nothing to do with knowledge to ask him about knowledge. Once he went to a barber after long conversation with one of his students, he said, I'll take you to a barber. He said, these barbers talk too much. He said, this guy's not going to talk, he's not going to ask about anything. So he said, okay. In the middle, after he shaved half of his hair, and he has a very big long hair, after he shaved half the head, he now knows, can you imagine, like Ahmed with half shaved like that, and the other half still like big, afro or whatever he had. So he said to him, now you need to narrate to me one of the ahadith. He said, I told you. He was, and he left, and he stayed about a month half shaved, or like several weeks, until he was convinced him to come back, and this man's not going to ask you anymore. You know, sometimes it can be very funny, actually. Once he entered a place where like a public place where people wash their bodies, and he saw this guy with a big beard, completely naked. So he closed his eyes to cover, he doesn't look at his aura. So the guy, with no respect, he said, oh, I thought you were blurry-eyed. Since when you became blind? He said, since you dropped your pants. So, rahimahullah, yani, subhanAllah, he was married to, even he's not attractive at all in his look, but he married to a very beautiful woman. Everybody comment on that. And he would never give the knowledge to people he doesn't really want. Even he got a dog, and he used to have a dog outside his house. And when he see these students who don't like serious, he will release the dog just to scare them off, not to come to. Anyway, once Ibrahim al-Nakhai, who's a one-eyed man, visited him and said, let's go. He said, no, I don't want to be, people see a one-eyed man and a blurry-eyed man together. He said, what's wrong with that? They will be sinning and will be rewarding. Then he said, how about this? They will be saved and we will be saved. Let's just go separate. You know, he was in his 70s and he never missed the first takbirah in the masjid. He will be behind the imam in his 70s. Rahimahullah ta'ala. He died, but he left behind him a great deal of knowledge. Definitely. He was a great scholar. So let's see what we learn from his life.
Actually, I just want to shed some light on a very important part you said about his photographic memory. He was really good at memorizing things, and he used that like when he traveled.
He said everybody has a photographic memory.
Yeah,
some of us, their film was burned.
Yeah, he was. He's different. He's different. He remembers things very well, as he's told us. So he used this kind of leverage on his behalf. Like, I mean,
very good. So if you have a talent,
yes,
use it in a good cause.
Yes, you're good at it. Very good. Yeah, I mean in business, if you're good at something, do it well. You will be different.
Like for example, some people very good in art.
Yes.
People good in social media. People can make movies, can make basically produce things.
Sure.
Can write, very good writer. Use these talents
yes.
in something that will benefit the ummah.
Yes.
Excellent. Very good.
I think mine is a bit of a less of a serious point, but it just proves to me, and hopefully I can follow these footsteps, in that you can be a scholar and a person of knowledge and still have some kind of banter, and still can have some kind of a humorous side to you, and does no way contradict your knowledge or even decrease you in knowledge.
Yeah. But the best guidance, the guidance of Rasulullah, because his humor sometimes can be cruel. I have to tell you that. It's really, I don't share everything, but sometimes he can be very, very mean. And anyway, subhanAllah, Allah tested him with different things. He doesn't like slow people. Like he can't stand people who are slow around him. SubhanAllah, Allah gave him a son who was so slow, he drove him crazy. And there's even story about that. But you know what I think it is important? I always ask myself, if your son going to go study under Al-A'mash, what would you tell your son or your daughter? I think one of the things I'll tell them, hey, you don't take everything from the sheikh. It doesn't need to be perfect to learn from you. I might avoid that part, being sarcastic. That's not a good thing. That's not of the best character. But his dedication, his knowledge, his respect for the knowledge, something I will learn, his worship, his dedication to the salah. We need to learn to filter things. Yeah. We don't need to take everything from everyone. And I think that's a very important lesson to learn from this man's life. For me, one of the thing that I really liked about his life, that even though he is poor, but he has a fair chance in the society. Yeah. In many society, in many countries today, if you are poor, you don't have a chance for good education. You don't have a chance to contribute to the society. You've not even been recognized, that's right? Yes. But even he is poor, but the society allowed and gave him a fair chance through education to prove himself. And if there is anything else we can learn from that, is the importance of education. That's why I ask everyone who is listening to me, care for the education. It's not necessarily to be only the religious education. This is just an example, but education in general is the key to success in modern days. Make sure that you learn. No matter how old are you, no matter how young you are, make sure that you learn how to read things that benefit you, have that habit of reading, habit of increasing your information, go to study. One of the things I love and I really respect a lot in the West, the concept of continuing education. You go to any school after in the night, you'll find many hundreds of people taking courses just for continuing education. We are the ummah of iqra, the ummah of knowledge. We should encourage our children, encourage ourselves to continue our education. What else do you guys have? Anything else? I have a couple of points.
Yeah, I'm afraid I've
Yeah.
got something.
You know, one of the things that we say, don't judge a book from its
Cover, yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
You
sure.
might he look, messy to you, but there is so much to learn from him. I think that's another lesson to learn.
Yeah.
Sometimes we judge a person from their appearance in both ways, positive or negative. Because she wear hijab, it doesn't mean that she has a good character. Because she doesn't wear hijab, it means she's a bad or evil person. It's not necessarily to be the case. It's an indication of something, but it's not necessarily the case. Because I have a long beard, it means I'm this or that. If I don't have beard, I'm not. Don't judge people from the look or titles. Because I have a PhD or I don't have PhD or I have this or I have that or have an official title, it means I'm bad or I'm good. Don't judge people through that, because even people said, oh, because he has a position in this government or that, it means he's bad. That's not necessarily. That's not fair. Don't judge people from their cover. Just look at what the content, look at what they have.
Yes.
Another lessons that we can also learn from his life, that have you ever thought about the difference between greatness and fame? They say fame is based on what you gain in life. But greatness is based on what you contribute in life. So your fame is based on what you gain, but your greatness is based on what you give. Maybe this man wasn't the most famous person in the world. He became later on the famous, but it's not about what he gained in life. It's not about the materialistic things that he gained. He's great because he contributed a lot. He given a lot. And many times we mix between the two. We think life is about fame. It's about what we gain. It's really about what we contribute. It's not about how much money that you made. It's about how much difference you made in life. And I think that's a great lesson. Personally, I learned from his life that I wish that that I have contributed or I have leave a legacy behind me like the one that he left, rahimahullah ta'ala. Finally, people have different personalities, and we have to learn to deal with that. People is not going to be always the same. So for me, I have to adjust myself to deal with people. There is people who have temper, there is people who get angry quickly, there is people slow, there's people fast-paced, people like to talk a lot, people don't like to talk, and I need to know how to learn to deal with people. I don't need to be frustrated. Sometimes we want all the shuyukh, all the scholars, all the ulama, all the du'at, all the to be copy from each other. We're not. We're different. That's how I am, that's my personality. And we need to learn how to accept that and to live. Our differences, our diversity is the secret behind the beauty of this world, in my opinion. So these are some lessons we can learn from his life. I hope that you learned something new today, and I'm looking forward to see you in the next episode. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for listening, and thank you for being with me.
Thank you, Sheikh.
Thank you.
قل هل يستوي الذين